Yo, what's up? It's Jason. I'm back, still on the road and still with a ton of wax. I did two more shops on this trip before we do head back, and one of them was both in the GTA, which is Greater Toronto area. Sorry, I'm kind of out of the picture here, but I'm outdoors. Um, yeah, hit up a shop in Mississauga, which is where I'm situated, and it's called Archtop. They also run a cafe, and AGK, if you know Anthony's channel, he has already done an in-depth visit to that spot and interviewed the owner as well. Been there once before. I went there on a Boxing Day and got some great deals. They have a lot of new stuff, but they have some killer OG stuff down in the basement. This time I hit up all their cheapy bins and I got some pretty good cheap heat, as my man Cliff would say. Cheap heat, and also got some just rare, cool ass shit from another shop downtown Toronto called Rotate This, which is legendary. It's been around for ages, moved around a few times, but currently on Ossington. So Rotate This and Archtop are the two shops this time. Let's see what I got. So I did mention there was a cheap bin for Archtop, but outside of the cheap bin, I also got this one for 13 bucks. This is Cuban-based jazz funk from Mongo Santa Maria. Mongo Santa Maria's greatest hits. A lot of tracks we already know, right? So Watermelon Man, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, Cold Sweat, Green Onions, all that done in a Latin jazz funk style, which is pretty amazing. He's a drummer from Cuba, legendary, I guess, and I'm still discovering kind of Latin funk, so just slowly easing myself into it. Now, they had these $5 bins that were actually 3 for 10 bucks, and here's some of the funk and stuff that I got on that. We're talking Lynx. Yeah, so Lynx is actually a UK-based funk band and soul I never heard of before. This was their debut album. It's called Intuition. It's pretty decent, actually, for 5 bucks. This is an OJ's record I didn't have. Got quite a bit of OJ's, but never actually seen this one before. So Full of Love. It turns out it's got some jams on here that I have heard before in samples or remakes. I think Used to Be My Girl is the one, or This Time Baby. In and Out of Love. So great album by the OJ's. Happy I got that for 5 bucks. These are from the other shop. This is from the other shop. Got some T Connection, Totally Connected. Never seen this one by T Connection, but I've heard of them before. They're actually a funk band out of the Bahamas that moved to Miami to get released on the disco label TK out of Miami. For those of you who know, Casey and the Sunshine Gang, also Miami-based disco. Not bad. I got a couple from legendary disco singer Sylvester. I had this one before. This is from the 80s, All I Need. He, of course, passed away in 88, sadly. A lot of production on the Sylvester albums. This is an older one from him, 79. Still not his debut. There's quite a few records by Sylvester, and a lot of them produced by Patrick Crowley, I think. Crowley, who has had his instrumentals released through Dark Entries in recent years. This one's called Stars by Sylvester. Got the falsetto voice, great synth kind of based production. This one's kind of a house record, 80s house. Liz Torres, The Bitch Is Back. Payback is a Bitch. I had that all mixed up. Payback is a Bitch, What Goes Around Comes Around by Liz Torres. Big on the New York kind of house and club scene. There's a 12-inch Kool and the Gang Fresh, which is a good song by them from the 80s. Another 12-inch is a house 12-inch on Jump Records. Sajay, actually kind of tech house. I looked it up, didn't have that, so why not? 5 bucks. Got a CTI record for 5 bucks. A little bit on the bent cardboard, but it still opens up as gatefold, and the vinyl's actually quite nice. Most of these actually in the cheap bins were really like VG+. Some of them did not have inner sleeves though, which is a bit of a gripe of mine. This is a Canadian edition of this Deodato Prelude album. It's good. It's got like a weird, it's got, it gets into the smooth jazz territory, so it gets a little cheesy with a schmaltzy version of 2001: A Space Odyssey. I'd say the best jam on this is the very last song, September 13. That one has got some funk flavor going on. So CTI you always have to check out. You never know. But usually there's something good on CTI stuff. Got some 80s Bananarama. Hadn't seen that single before. Or Houdini, Be Yourself. Just cheap heats. What else we got here? A few more, and then the better, slightly better stuff at the other shop. This is C-Bank on Next Records. Next Plateau, C-Bank, Hip Hop, Electro. Taco's got a single. Well, the single for Putting on the Ritz. I've had the album before. Still on a wham tip, especially the early stuff. That's Bad Boys. I had double of this. Everybody's got this. I got doubles. A little bit of Tina. That's a single for Let's Stay Together. And Break Every Rule, but I don't think this is as good of an album as Private Dancer, that's for sure. And we got this one here. This is the second time I got this record. Susie Lane, Ooh La La. Disco record. So I got a few other things, but those are just some of the highlights from that cheap bin out of Mississauga. Now, moving back into the downtown Toronto, Rotate This, a shop I do try to check out every 1 or 2 trips that I make. And really psyched because they had this record, which I just saw on a YouTube VC channel. It's a UK guy, I think, showing it. This is a rare reissue on Jazzman Records. This is Ron Everett, The Glitter of the City. Kind of originally from 1977. Sort of free jazz with also some smooth jazz or funk jazz. I think that's a picture of him on the back. Yeah, kind of obscure. See if there's anything here on the news. Ultra rare Philadelphia Private Press. Funk and jazz rarity. Less than a handful of copies known to exist. Now, I have the reissue. A 180 gram reissue. Full liner notes and photos. I'll have to dive deep on that. And this is a Jazzman Records, which is a great label for reissues out of the UK. Usually I get a lot of 7 inches on Jazzman. This is a full album. I've previewed a little bit of it so far. Pretty cool, pretty out there, free jazz stuff from the 70s. Then I picked up a copy of Roy Ayers. I had this one, I think, before, but I don't remember. No Stranger to Love. Roy Ayers. He was just putting them out like crazy back in the 70s and 80s. I think that might be in 80s. Found this. This is totally new to me. This is a band from the UK, Fashion Music, Product Perfect. Cool album cover, so I had to double check it. And they're kind of like a new wave band, originally from Birmingham. They got more synth pop, I think, as time went on. But this one, I think, might be from like 1979 on IRS Records. Found a little bit of hardcore, too. Can't go wrong. Gotta have a little bit of punk or metal in there. So DOA, Canadian Legends, Let's Wreck the Party. I didn't have this one. Been slowly filling in my DOA collection. Got about 4 records so far. War on 45, Hardcore 81, and that latest one that they put out, Treason. This one is on my way to completing the early years. I'm going to say 84, 85. This is the Canadian pressing, too, on Just in Time label. But originally this was on Alternative Tentacles. There is an inner sleeve in here, too, which I won't be able to get out. DOA. Bring Back the Future? Let's Wreck the Party. Fun stuff. DOA. Always good. Got this Squeeze album for a couple of bucks, but it's kind of a stinker. I mean, from all the reviews I read, is that the songs are good, but the production's just god-awful. Or the mixing. But it has been reissued. I wonder if it was remixed as well. And last but not least, I saved the best for last. Old school Parliament record that I didn't have, and I've been kind of sitting on the fence waiting to pick it up. So there it is, kind of a grail, I guess. It would be a grail if I had the OG, but I'll stick with the reissue for now. I think this is a 2019 reissue on this guy. Cult Classic reissued 180 gram vinyl, and lots of great stuff on here. Little Country Boy is a hilarious ditty that was sampled by De La Soul on 3 Feet High and Rising. My Automobile's on here, which is sampled by, or reinterpreted, I think, by NWA and Dr. Dre. So you can't go wrong with Parliament or Funkadelic. It's the first album they put out in 1970. The flip side. And that completes what has been a really good trip record-wise. 4 shops in total. If you see my other video, you'll see some of the stuff I got in the other shops at Sonic Boom and Emissions. This one was Archtop and Rotate This. So I will see you guys next time as I head back. Peace.